Welcome to Akul Mac Live. I'm Kanchan Verma, and today we are again in our series Great Rishis of India. And today we are discussing about one of the greatest scholar of the world, Aryabhata. So stick around to this episode till the end to know more about his personality and his contribution. Well, Aryabhatta is a forgotten genius because we don't find his mention in our textbook also. His contribution is very less written in the textbook of our school and colleges. But most of us, we credit him for the invention of zero. But Aryabhatta's contribution is much more than just mathematics and an invention of zero. He was born in Patiput during the time of Gupta dynasty, and he was born on 21st March 476 AD. And to the interest of all of you, I must tell you that he has never mentioned his birth date, but he has mentioned the calculation, and this is how that calculation, if you really go and read his work, you'll find out how beautifully he has mentioned his birth date and birth year. He is also credited with mathematics, as you know, but he's also been done vast work in astronomy and astrophysics. His book, which he has written, is Aryabhata, and which mention all these aspects of maths and astronomy. A part of this, he also written a book which is Arya Siddhanta, but unfortunately the book is lost and few pages are remaining, and later years in 6th or 7th century, most of the scholars use that knowledge for their work and for their mathematical calculation. In fact, the Indian first satellite is also named after him, Aryabhata. In Aryabhatiya book, he has formulated the process of calculation, the motion of planet, and time of eclipses. Aryabhata talks about the method of writing numbers, unit of measurement of time, calculation of Earth rotation, and geometrical principles like parameters and algebra, planetary position. It also deals with the measurement of time and determining the planetary position. He talks about the velocity of planet, and is also tells that different position of planet and the orbit they take, and that's why determining the days of week. And as I told you, the contribution is much more than just invention of zero. It is said that Aryabhata is the first to proclaim that Earth is round and it rotates on its axis, orbits the sun, and it's suspended in the space, and thousands of years before the Copernicus published its theory. And I must tell you that not only Aryabhata, but it is inbuilt theory and inbuilt ritual which we Indians have in inbuilt in our process, because we had been praying, worshipping sun for very long. We knew that sun is the center of the solar system. Now let us also talk about his contribution in calculation. Aryabhata has given a system of place value, which is an invention with base 10. Currently, whole world is using this system to ease up the arithmetic operation drastically. When we are also would like to tell you that Aryabhata also said to be first person in the world who talks about speed, which is equal to distance and time, which is a fundamental of physics as we know today. So many people do not know his contribution, and they do not even credit him for these mathematical and planetary calculation, and this is very unfortunate because he has done vast contribution in terms of astronomy and in terms of maths. So, and I also wonder that being in all of Indians, how we can miss his contribution, and he is way ahead of his successor. He also acknowledged the calculation of pi in four decimal places like 3.146. He was aware that pi is an irrational number around 1300 years before Lombard actually proved the same. Centuries later, in 825 CE, the Arab mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa credited the value of pi to Indians. He said in his writing, the value of pi is being given by Hindus, and above all, his spectacular contribution was the concept of zero, which we all know, without which the modern computer technology would be non-existent. Now, talking about the phonic numbers, Aryabhata created a system of phonic number notation in which numbers are represented by consonant vowel monosyllables. Now, Aryabhata invented a system assigning numbers to alphabet, something like inscription. Now, assigning vowel to base 10, like A is equal to 10, E is equal to 100, O is equal to 1000, and so on. So basically, we are talking about the vowel of Sanskrit, but most of the people in India don't know or don't learn Sanskrit language. So they are, we all are failed to really appreciate the language and Aryabhata's mathematical calculation and the way he has written these calculation in Sanskrit language. They are read in words, but actually they are numbers. Even today, you can find these examples in the state of Kerala, where numbers are written in the form of words in Malayali languages. In language, and that language is called, that system is called Katta Tayapi system. Now, later scholars such as Brahmagupta divided his work into Ganit, which is mathematics, and Kalkriya, which is calculation of time, then Golpada, which is spherical astronomy. His pure mathematical discussed topics such as determination of square and cube roots, geometrical figures with their properties, mensurations, arithmetic progression problems on shadow of nomons, and quadratic equation, linear indeterminate equation. So Aryabhata work on trigonometry is extremely influential on the Islamic golden age also. So he was a genius. The kind of work he has done is you don't find any other example when we are talking in Indian context. Now, talking about the astronomy, his book talks about trigonometry principle. Its roots in astronomy, as you know, calculation of ratio of sides of triangle. So, he has been discussing about all these trigonometry and planetary calculation in his book. Now, he also talks about motion of planets, and when we talk about trigonometry, and most of the time it is used for the calculation of position of planetary position, and many people credit Greeks for trigonometry, but I think Indian also have this knowledge from the antiquity, the position of planet. As I was discussing, that we have a knowledge, we had been praying sun, and we have the understanding that the sun is in the center of every sphere. So we have this knowledge, and in astronomy, Aryabhata contributed in publishing his work, and again reiterating that yes, we belong to a greater civilization, we are an advanced civilization, we have knowledge of planetary working, planetary system from antiquity. Aryabhata contributed in planetary science immensely when he published his work. He applied plane trigonometry to spherical geometry and gave calculation on solar, lunar eclipse. He discovered that the apparent westward motion of star is due to the spherical earth rotation about its own axis. Scientifically, it is also proved that planetary occurrence, and Indians knew about, as I told you, eclipse and other planetary motion from antiquity. Now, there's one very interesting story about the eclipses where it says that there's a god Rahu and Ketu, and they swallow sun, and on this day many Indians worship eclipse. I mean, during the eclipse they don't go out, they restrict their food intake and all that sort of thing. But at this point of time, one should understand that this is not a superstitious ritual, or how the people really do the rituals, but it's a part of ritual in the sense that we Indians have a lot of gratitude towards cosmos, and we celebrate this gratitude uh, of cosmos on the day of eclipse. And if you really want to observe the fasting, or you want to do any ritual, please go ahead without any validation of anybody or any other civilization, because we know about the planetary, about we have this in our culture. Now we are not a superstitious civilization. We understand from prehistoric people and from prehistoric times that sun is the center, there's a solar system, and we know about the tilt of axis of the earth. And people who really ridicule our customs, I think, and they think that we are not scientific, that approach is very irrelevant. And again, I would just want to tell everybody that we belong to a very advanced civilization, and if you want to express your gratitude in either way towards nature, towards people, towards planet, please continue doing it, do it, and with pride. So now let's talk about key contribution of Aryabhata. And Aryabhata has a good knowledge of pi, which he has discussed in his writings. Arya discovered an approximation of pi, which is 62,832 upon 20,000, which comes around 3.1416. Second point, key contribution is the area of circle without pi. So that means area of circle, which is equal to half of circumference into radius. So clearly he says that half of the circumference multiplied by half of the diameter gives the exact area of circle. Now the next point, the key contribution is classification of time. Though classification of time was always there in Indian culture since prehistoric time, but Aryabhata do talk about time, and he says Brahma day, which is also said Kalpa day, and Kalpa combined with Manavataras in the context of planetary movement. And there's a huge paper available about his work, and if you are interested, you can read it online also. Now the other point, which is a key contribution, is invention of sign, and he is the first person to identify our sign, differences in terms of minutes of arc. And the beauty of trigonometry equation is that all are in Sanskrit, in shloka or couplet, and we should learn Sanskrit language to really understand the Aryabhata mathematical insight. And when we are talking about the language, the first the sign was written in Sanskrit language as Jia, but when it reached to Persia, it by a scholar, and it became Jiva. Later on, this word reached to Latin language, and it was pronounced as Siam, and eventually when it reached to English language, it became sign. Now he also given a place value system. In fact, he invented place value system with the base 10, and currently whole world is using this Hindu numerical system in calculation. And this place value system eased up an arithmetic operation drastically. Now coming to the other contribution, which is a key contribution, is Aryabhata talks about eclipses in a great length, and there's a very beautiful shloka written by him regarding eclipses, but I will be telling you the meaning of that shloka. And that means moon like water. Why water? Because moon cold like moon, and sun like fire. Moon obstruct sun, and shadow of earth obstruct moon, causes eclipses. So all this is being written in the book Aryabhatiya. So we can see in the picture, the first satellite which was designed by ISRO is being named after Aryabhata, and we have given due respect and recognition to this great scholar Aryabhata. His work is also being translated into Chinese language, and his work has a huge impact on West Asia and Persia, where mathematicians took inspiration from Aryabhata. Aryabhatta was a great scholar and a great mathematician. He is the first person who calculated correctly luminosity of the moon. So I hope we discussed Aryabhatta, and I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. I look forward for your comments, and we'll be meeting again in our next episode. Till then, bye bye, and you take care.